In this video, we're going to look at finding the inverse of an equation in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c by completing the square. So we're starting out with this equation here, y equals 2x squared minus 20x plus 3. So this equation is in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. What we want to do first to complete the square is change this to the form y equals a x minus p squared plus q. Once we've done that, then we can find the inverse. So the first thing we want to do is factor out this a value. So this a value here in front of the ax squared will eventually become this a value here. This 3 at the end will eventually become part of the q. So I'm going to factor the 2 out of the first two terms here. So we'll be left with y equals, we'll factor out the 2, so we'll be left with x squared minus 10x, and then we'll close the bracket and we'll just leave the 3 at the end. So now we'll actually work on creating the completed square. So we have 2 bracket x squared minus 10x. To figure out what we need to add to complete the square, we will take half of this number in front of the x. So half of negative 10 is negative 5, and then square it. So negative 5 times negative 5 would be positive 25. Then we'll balance it by subtracting 25. Close our bracket, plus 3. We really don't need this minus 25, though, as part of our completed square. So our completed square really is this part right here. So we're going to take that minus 25 out of the brackets by multiplying it by the 2 in front. So we'll have y equals 2 times x squared minus 10x plus 25. We'll close our bracket. Then we'll go 2 times negative 25 will give us minus 50 plus 3. So now we'll write our answer in the completed square form. So we have y equals 2. And then this red part here, I'm just going to put in red here, in completed square form is x minus half of the negative 10, so x minus 5 squared. So if you were to expand x minus 5 squared, you would get x squared minus 10x plus 25 back. And at the end here we have our minus 50 plus 3, which will give us minus 47. So now we have our equation in the form y equals a x minus p squared plus q. So now to find the inverse, we're going to exchange the x and the y. So over here, we're going to write x equals 2 times y minus 5 squared minus 47. And now we want to isolate our new y. So for starting out, we're going to add 47 to both sides. So we'll be left with x plus 47 is going to equal 2 times y minus 5 squared. Now we'll divide both sides by 2. So x plus 47 divided by 2. When this side is divided by 2, we'll be left with y minus 5 squared. Now we'll take the square root of both sides. And we have to remember to put a plus minus in front of that. So we have plus minus the square root of x plus 47 over 2. The whole thing underneath the square root is now equal to y minus 5. And then we'll add 5 to both sides. I'm just going to move my y over to the left-hand side here. So y equals, I'll put the 5 over, 5 plus minus square root of x plus 47 over 2, the whole thing underneath the square root, and that would be our inverse. You could also write it as plus minus the root of x plus 47 over 2, and then put your plus 5 after the root would be fine as well. But then this would now be our inverse of our original equation, and we found that by completing the square over here. Then to find the inverse, we exchange the x and y and solve for our new y.